Did you know that your core actually comprises the muscles of your torso, not just your abs? But how can you target the most important muscles effectively if you don't have a lot of time to train? Hi, I'm Kamina Sue, and in this video I'm going to share with you my favorite core exercises that you can do if you're short on time. So the first core exercise that I like to do is something which makes sure that our transverse abdominis or our TVA muscle is working. So the TVA muscle is our body's natural corset. It wraps around our body and lies underneath the visible muscles of our abdomen and our back. And so because we can't really see it, it's actually really hard to know if it's working or not. So this first exercise, it's very, very simple. Even if you're a total beginner, you can completely do this one. This is called a set point. And our set point is where we're going to discover when our TVA switches on and when it switches off. So go ahead and come to the floor and grab something. I like to use a yoga block. You can use like a cushion or something that's actually firm enough to put in between your thighs. And you're going to lie on your back and just make sure that your rib cage is really kind of glued to the floor. Let's go ahead and put the block in between your thighs. Notice how I'm engaging my feet. I've got my knees above my hips. I'm going to take an inhalation, bringing the arms over the head. I'm getting in touch with my shoulder blades and pressing my lower back into the ground. I'm engaging the feet. Exhaling, I'm going to bring my arms forward. I'm going to bring my legs forward. I'm going to lower my legs down right before I feel my lower back about to lift off the ground. Now that could be different for everybody, depending on their TVA strength. So what tends to happen is if you bring your legs too low to the ground, my lower back is actually wanting to arch, and that means my TVA muscle is disengaging. So I'm going to bring my feet up like so and re-engage my rib cage onto the floor and press my lower back into the ground. So I know my TVA is working here. If this is really hard on your neck, you can feel free to put your head on the ground. I find it's helpful that if your shoulders are feeling a little bit tight and they're coming up around your ears, put something behind your head. So we're going to be breathing here, and after about 30 seconds, let's call that 30 seconds, bring the feet onto the floor and take a little rest. So as your TVA gets stronger, you should be able to lower your legs down to the ground while keeping the integrity of pressing your lower back into the floor. But don't rush this. It's one of those things that takes a little bit of time to develop, especially if you're new to this kind of thing. And you want to repeat that about 3 to 5 times. So the next exercise that I like to do if I'm short on time for my core is an exercise called the blanket slide. And I really love it because it works a lot of different muscles all at the same time. So this is what it looks like. I'm taking a couple of furniture sliders here. You can also get special sliders that you can use for exercise, but these work just as well, I find, and also quite inexpensive. So I'm going to place them on a smooth surface. So if you have a carpet, that's ideal. If you are working from a wood floor or some lino, you can actually use a couple of tea towels and place them under your feet. So I'm going to make sure that I'm starting from my knees first of all, just to get the placing of my hands really, really correct. Because a lot of the time, if you're new to pressing your hands on the floor, we tend to have our fingers too close together. Okay, fingers too close together tend to dump weight in the heel of the hand. So that means that we're not really using and engaging our upper body that well. So I encourage you to practice really spreading your fingers as much as possible and feeling like you're pressing your finger pads into the floor. So by doing that, you're going to build and actually access a lot more upper body strength. So once we've gotten the upper body correct, we want to have the hands about shoulder distance apart. Don't make the hands too wide. That's another common mistake. Have them shoulder distance apart, middle finger pointing straight ahead if you can. You're going to come up then onto and place your feet onto the sliders. So you want to come onto the toes as much as you can, okay? And once you're here, you're going to take an inhalation, you're going to push the floor away. And then notice how I'm not going all the way back and dumping into my lower back. That basically means your core is disengaged. You want to keep feeling your TVA working. So just recall that feeling of TVA engagement that you have been developing in your set point, you're going to inhale, bring your feet back. And right here is where I feel my TVA still engaging. I'm going to exhale, bring my feet forward. So you want to breathe in as you go back and breathing out as you come forward, because you want to always breathe out on the most difficult part of an exercise. And in the blanket slide, it's definitely bringing your feet back in. So at first, if you are new to these, your legs are probably wanting to bend like this. That's totally fine. You can actually do these with the knees bent a little bit. And as you develop a little bit more strength, you want to start straightening the legs, so to include your hip flexors in this to actually build hip flexor compression strength. So I would do about 3 sets of 10 blanket slides. And what's really cool is that you can pretty much do these anywhere. These are so portable and they makes a really effective exercise, targeting once again the TVA, your hip flexors and your back, specifically your lats. So the last exercise that I like to do for my core, if I'm short on time, is incorporating some kind of side plank to actually work our lateral core. And so I'm just going to keep it really simple, just coming onto the elbow, so an elbow side plank, and extending out through your legs. So you want to make sure that your elbow is roughly in line with the arches of your feet. That's actually how I find it's quite helpful, just to get the body in the right plane, because it can sometimes be quite difficult to know where your body is on the floor. Often people tend to bring their elbow too far forward and their butt too far back. So you want to actually instead try and have your body in one straight line. So once you've gotten that sorted out, you then want to go ahead and really engage through the lower body. So here I'm really pointing and spreading my toes, I'm squeezing my quads, and here with the upper body, making sure that your elbow is directly underneath the shoulder. Okay, so you see a lot of people trying to do side planks, and the shoulder, it feels horrible in the shoulder because they just don't have the right alignment between the elbow and the shoulder. So you want to make sure that you've got that, and that the bottom hand is engaged really strong. So you want to make a fist there, pressing your elbow into the floor, taking an inhalation here, squeezing the quads, exhaling, pressing through the elbow and lifting your side waist up, and then just bringing your fingertips to the ceiling. And being here in your side plank for about 10 to 30 seconds. Now, if that is the simple side plank, that is still a little bit tricky for you because you've not worked in this position before, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and regress the side plank by just placing your foot, the top foot, back behind you and inhaling here, really engaging through that bottom leg. Exhaling, pressing through that back foot, and that just helps you to get up and enjoy the feeling of lift in the side waist. Now when you get a little bit stronger, you can go ahead and just place that top leg on top of the bottom and enjoy the side plank. So I would do about 3 sets of 10 to 30-second holds. So once you feel comfortable in the side plank and you feel pretty steady there, this next variation is quite a progression from the side plank, but I think it's just so incredibly helpful, especially if you want to strengthen your knees. And this is a variation that I learned from Tony Gentlecore. He's got an awesome blog, which I'm sure you've heard about, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. So this is something called the Copenhagen side plank, and here what you want to do is you're going to be getting a chair and you're going to bring the top leg, so making sure that your knee is supported as much as possible, okay? And then you're going to place your other leg below the chair. So hopefully when you've been practicing the side plank, you'll understand what the alignment is required. So you just immediately go, okay, heel of the arch in line with the elbow. Very important to get the alignment correct, especially in this more advanced variation of the plank. So once you're here, you're going to take an inhalation here. Exhaling, you're then going to go ahead and press through the elbow, and you're going to really press your top leg into the chair as you lift the bottom leg like so. And you want to feel like you're really squeezing your quads, engaging through the feet, and breathing here for about, once again, 10 to 30 seconds, and then coming down again. Once you actually feel comfortable in this one, you can actually start to move into a more advanced variation of this one, where you actually bring the the bottom hip forward and you bring the bottom hip back. So you're moving into flexion and extension with that bottom hip, making sure you're keeping that leg lifted and you're pressing the top leg into the chair as strongly as possible. I wouldn't be in a hurry to move into this variation, really master the first one, and then when you feel super steady, go ahead and try it with the hip flexion and extension, the Copenhagen side plank. So those are my favorite core exercises to do if you're short on time. If you got value from this video, please follow or subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Thanks very much. And I'll see you in the next video.